Coach, wanted to get your take on Harbaugh. Mixed bag when you fire a long-time coach. Sometimes you bounce right back, sometimes you don't. What do you think of the chances are that the Ravens regret this?
I think there's a really good chance the Ravens regret this, and it's going to be extremely challenging. It's been 18 years since they've gone through a quarterback or a head coaching search, and that's challenging. Now, they did do a very unique search at that time, but that's a long time. And then I've said this over and over again, when you have consistency, you have efficiency, because the scouts know what the head coach is looking for. Free agency all the way down the line, the roster turnover isn't as great, but you bring in someone new with new ideas, all that has to be gotten used to. So there's that component. And then how's the dynamic of the new head coach with the GM? Because the power structure before was John reported to the owner, the GM reported to the owner. Does this new head coach come in and now he reports to the GM? Does that change? And then what's the dynamic between a new head coach and Lamar? Lamar suddenly, he won the power struggle, so he's suddenly become empowered. So what does that look like? There's a lot of things, if you go get a new head coach, that they're going to have to learn and get used to, as well as dealing with the dynamics of the organization, the dynamics of an elite quarterback like Lamar Jackson.
I don't think they'll regret it. I think the chances are very slim. Because, one, I don't think they were going to win the Super Bowl with Harbaugh. They would have been good, but wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. So for them to regret this, they have to really fall off. I mean, be like next year, not make the playoffs either, and just kind of not be a contender anymore. And I don't see that happening with Lamar Jackson in his prime. And you still got Derrick Henry coming off a very good season. We'll see how good he is next year. But a lot of other good players too. And I think, Coach, this is a very good organization. Bisciotti last time did a good job of identifying Harbaugh when he got rid of Billick. And Harbaugh was just a special teams coach. So he went and found him. I think they'll go find this guy, a good guy. I actually got some names. Yeah. I can throw out Jesse. These are names you've heard. Yeah. But Jesse Minter, who has a relationship with the Ravens, but he's the defensive coordinator with the Chargers.
With his brother.
I like Flores as a head coach.
Yep.
And then if I got Flores, I would look at, I don't know if these guys want to be OCs. I'd look at, not saying I'd hire him for sure, but like a Cliff Kingsbury or a Mike LaFleur. And I'd consider Mike LaFleur for head coach, not so much Kingsbury. But Mike LaFleur, as a head coach, the OC with the Rams, I'd like to see what he could do with Lamar.
Just to add to Brew's recommendations, these are reports that they're looking at. Anthony Weaver with the Dolphins, DC, and Clint Kubiak, Seahawks, OC. So
both of them have connections, don't they, to the Ravens?
I mean, the Giants have done a good job replacing Tom Coughlin, so that's a nice model.
But they don't have to play. They didn't have a two-time MVP quarterback in his prime. That's the difference.
I don't necessarily agree with the fact that they couldn't win a Super Bowl with John Harbaugh.
I don't know that you agreed with that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they brought him back, I'm not saying I definitely wouldn't have picked him. But, Coach, the last 3 years have ended in utter disappointment. And I just think would be like a malaise over them. You're right, they still would be talented, and maybe I would have picked them next year. But
and I'm not trying to be too flippant, but if they kick the field goal, we're not having this conversation. A 40-yard field goal.
So that's right. Listen, I'll split the baby on this. If they kick the field goal, then if they had made the field goal, I'm not being rude, Brew would have believed they could win a Super Bowl under Harbaugh, because you would have thought they could do it this year.
Well,
you would have held out hope that they had a puncher's chance. With the other side of that is, even if they had made the field goal, I believe John Harbaugh was going to be fired, because I think he and Lamar really
right. That's the thing too.
But the year before, it's a drop pass for a 2-point conversion by one of their most reliable players.
But that was just to tie it.
They would have had the opportunity to go to overtime. If they won in overtime, they would have had the opportunity to have their teeth kicked in by the Chiefs. But the Chiefs had beaten them, a better Ravens team in Baltimore the year before.
But my point is, those two plays weren't poor coaching decisions.
No, but
there are other things.
Yes, I think it's the totality of it, and I really do believe they don't regret it, because they were going to have a massive issue on their hands in the form of Lamar's future there had this move not happened. I vehemently and for good reason believe that. With that said, it is risky. So this is to me, a shocking, it's a very basic graphic, but it's a shocking stat. More than half of the league, 17 teams, have changed coaches in the last 2 years. So more like, to get some context, Mike McDaniel is the 10th longest tenured head coach in the NFL. DeMeco Ryans is in the top half of longest tenured. Feels like DeMeco Ryans is a young, new head coach. He's been with his team longer than 17 well, obviously 7 of them don't have coaches yet, but they just fired their guys. And so you run a big risk that now you're just on the carousel. Now, hopefully, having a Lamar Jackson prevents you from being on that carousel. Here would be my concern pushback, if you will, Brew. Much like we said about the Cowboys when they changed, I don't know if it was the last year with McCarthy or not, but it was, we felt like, man, win 12 games, lose in the second round would be a failure. But because they had the bad year, the final year with McCarthy, if they brought him back, then win 12 games would be a great success, even if they didn't have playoff success. I do wonder if you after this bad season, if you bring in a rookie head coach, Jesse Minter, for instance, because I think hiring a rookie head coach with a future Hall of Fame quarterback is a risk. Now, the Packers did it with LaFleur, and it's worked out. But would 11-6 and winning the division and losing in round 2 be like, man, we're on the right track? When if we would have told you going into this year that was going to happen under Harbaugh, we'd have said, that's a disaster. You're the Super Bowl favorite. You win 12, 13, 14 games. So that is the concern here.
As long as Lamar's in his prime, anything but reaching the Super Bowl or winning it is going to be a disappointment.
Yep.
So but if let's say that happens, they go 11-6 next year, lose in the first or second round of the playoffs.
Call it second round. Give them a playoff win.
People are disappointed. I guess it depends on how the season looks. Like, if Lamar looks good, if the defense looks good, I think people will be optimistic. But but I will say this, you would be where you were with Harbaugh. Like, I don't think people would have been like, oh, if we kept Harbaugh, we'd have won the Super Bowl. Yeah. I think at very least, you got a new coach that Lamar likes, presumably, and you're still a contender.
A lot of mysteries. Everybody's talking about it, okay? Currently 7 head coach openings, including Baltimore, which would be shocking if he nailed that one. Chef reporting that Harbaugh already took 7 calls, which means there's at least one mystery team. Then Rossini said, stop the presses. There's more than one mystery team. Oh my gosh.
How many? She threw out more?
She said there's more than one mystery.
Well, there has been a report the Dolphins are not the mystery team.
And the Dolphins aren't the mystery team.
And a lot of people thought they were the mystery
I would think.
What's going on here?
Who reported that? Who reported that?
Barry Jackson.
Yeah, one of the local
down in Miami.
reporters.
All right, so what's the best head coaching spot? Those are open, but again, there's mystery. You can go off the board.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but here's what I do know is that whatever opportunity comes up, he can go listen to all of them, but it's about the relationship with the owner. Like, more so than anything else, for someone for any head coach.
The Packers are out. They don't have it.
Yeah.
So that's
me with 10,000 guys.
Perfect. That's the perfect
good. Right.
when you have, you don't have that. But for him, he's going to go into any organization with a significant amount of power. And he's going to only want to report to the owner just like he has reported to the owner. And then he's going to want to make sure that owner has the same vision and values that he has. And I can tell you, you go through the interviews, it's like, there's going to be some turbulence. There's going to be this. Oh, yeah, we're good. And then the second the plane shakes, they throw you out. So you've got to be able to make sure that relationship is something that he can not only deal with, but that it's actually going to help him be successful. And he's got so much time and so much clout that maybe a year off isn't the worst thing in the world, too, so that he gets the ideal situation as opposed to jumping into another one.
It's out there that maybe Tomlin, if they lose, if the Steelers lose, or McDermott, if the Bills lose. I don't like Harbaugh for those jobs. Not that he'd be terrible.
Harbaugh replacing Tomlin would be wild. Would be utterly, would be absolutely wild.
But what I'm saying that because I feel like the best job for Harbaugh, to me, like the best type of job, is to go to an organization that needs stability, needs a culture change, and is building. All right. If he didn't get Baltimore over the hump recently, I know he won the Super Bowl years ago, but if he didn't get this Baltimore team with the 2-time MVP, one of the best running backs in the league, and a good defense over the hump, why should I think he's going to get the Bills over the hump or the Steelers over the hump? So I think just looking at this field right now, Coach, I think the best job for him would be Atlanta. He would bring stability there. They fired the GM.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. So I don't know how that's going to work, but he obviously would have some power there. They probably look at him like this is a guy that would bring us stability and take us to another level. And we know they have talent. What they don't have is a quarterback, and that's what the Giants might have.
And maybe
over
they
them.
think Penix could still be the
I
guy,
like
but
Penix is okay. I just don't think he can stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy in college. Now, Cousins, though, played well at the end of the year. Maybe he's got another year in him or two, so maybe Cousins is there. They got talent around him. We know that. And he could stabilize them. And then in the meantime, if it's not Penix, they get their future quarterback. Because Cousins played pretty well down the stretch when they won the 4 games.
So I think the only good job that's open is the one that he just left. I don't think the Giants are.
Atlanta
I don't think Atlanta is a good job. I guess they're bad every year. What do
you think they're talented? Obviously, you got the running back that you love to receive.
Yeah, every year I look at Atlanta and think, wow, they're going to be really good this year because they're loaded. But
I didn't think
that's the culture.
No, but I didn't. I guess my problem is I didn't think Raheem Morris was a bad coach.
No,
I thought he was fine. And it's like, and by the way, all that young talent is just about to become expensive talent. And so I don't think Atlanta's a great job. I don't even know if it's a good job. The Giants once upon a time were like a prestige job. You keep just firing coaches though. Yeah. And so and now maybe Harbaugh going there would give it stability. But to me, it's one place that we've already discussed and one place we haven't discussed. I think that if Philly loses in bad fashion, I think that is the exact type of perfect fit for Harbaugh. Where Howie Roseman, Harbaugh's, he's not a schematic. I don't want to say he's not a schematic guy, but he's not an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. He's culture, CEO, head coach. Mm-hmm. Howie Roseman wants to pick the coordinators anyway. You know what I mean? And so he's not going to be in the offensive game plans the way some of these young, brilliant head coaches would want to be as it is. We have seen them be very bold with championship caliber or championship winning coaches. Yeah. And this to me would be if Philly, again, they would have to lose in bad fashion a home playoff game.
Do you really think, you're right. If they get 45-7, that's one thing. But realistically, you think Sirianni could get fired?
If John Harbaugh had not come available, I would say no. But I do think Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are the type of people where they will say, is he better? If we can get the guy who's better, shouldn't we do that? I just think they're fearless in that. With that said, the team who right now announced their coach is coming back, but with this news, I would, and this maybe goes against, I don't know if Harbaugh would be interested because of ownership, but that should find out if John Harbaugh would take the job, and if so, they should fire their head coach as Cincinnati. And John Harbaugh gets an opportunity to stay in the division he knows, gets an opportunity that is built. And if I am the Bengals, I am saying it feels like we have stuck with Zach Taylor out of we know there's a floor, the players like him, and we didn't want to get back on that carousel. And that to me, let me put it like this, as a Chiefs fan, I would be really bummed out if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase got John Harbaugh.
I kind of like the Raiders because at least you have the number 1 overall draft pick and you can go get if you believe in this quarterback draft, then that answers the quarterback question. Then you get to play against your brother.
See, I don't think he wants to play because didn't it feel like that when Jim was coming back, that he didn't want to be, that he didn't want to play against his brother, like that they were hoping not to have that.
Yeah, just be kind of cool from and you get the #1 overall pick, which could solve problems.
Jamison Hensley reporting that Harbaugh believed the break was best for everyone, including Lamar, and it was no coincidence that this happened when Lamar was up for an extension. Interesting reporting from Jamison. How much pressure, Nick, does this put on Lamar Jackson?
Bruce said it earlier. He's under pressure no matter what. But if there was anything that would ratchet it up, it would be this exact scenario. Bad year, disappointing, odd injury stuff, in line for a new deal, fired the Super Bowl champion head coach. And the pressure is, to paraphrase Mike Tomlin, the pressure is the pressure. And it is, so I did this before we show the graphic. I want to explain it. Super Bowl era, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, plus the 6 guys who are not yet eligible that we know are in. Lamar, Mahomes, Brady, Breeze, Big Ben, Josh Allen. So and here is, for Lamar, playoffs where he is. Amongst the gold jacket quarterbacks, the pressure is to not be the worst postseason performer. That's not being unfair. That's not being picking on him. It is, again, it's a high standard because those are among the 29 greatest quarterbacks of the last 60 years, but he's not the 27th best quarterback of the last 60 years. He's closer to 10th. Right. You know what I mean? And so the pressure is to break through, Coach.
Well, Coach, I would say Harbaugh has been like the target for like these last few years, even though people like you have said rightly that Lamar has struggled at times in the playoffs and he's made some mistakes. Harbaugh's been like the one that's going to get the blame.
Certainly amongst
I think
Ravens
now, unless this new coach is horrific, which they wouldn't even be in the playoffs if that's the case, but assuming it's a good coach, they're back to being a contender, Lamar now becomes the #1 target. He's caught some bullets already, but he becomes like the number. If they don't get it done, you're not looking at the coach anymore. They're going to be looking at Lamar.
Well, I can tell you exactly what the expectation should be. So the expectation, this is the same as Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, right? Power struggle, gets Mike McCarthy out, wants a new contract. What did he do? 13-3, lost the NFC Championship. 13-4, lost the divisional round, back-to-back MVPs. Got rid of your head coach, want a new contract. That's the bar. That's it. That's what it is because we've seen it before, and that's what Aaron Rodgers did. So.
But he's got to. You're not saying he's got to get that. He has to get. He has to get to the Super Bowl.
He should probably be back-to-back MVP, 13-3 and 13-4, exactly like Aaron. Well,
but that didn't even make. That wasn't good enough for Rodgers. Like they ended up moving on.
But I'm just saying it was a power struggle with a Hall of Fame not a Hall of Fame, but a Super Bowl winning head coach. We'll see, how that all plays out. But Super Bowl winning head coach, he won the power struggle. And then the next 2 years, that's what Aaron Rodgers did.
And Rodgers was a 2-time MVP coming off a down year where they missed the playoffs.
Coming off a down year.
But those ended disappointingly.
Right.
Like if Lamar does that,
that's not good.
It's not good enough.
And so that's what I was.
Well, he got to the NFC Championship game, which Lamar's never gotten.
Well,
no,
he's been to one AFC.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, but so oddly, Lamar's in a spot where if it's like, hey, next 2 years you win 2 more MVPs and don't make a Super Bowl, or next 2 years you go 10-7 both years but win a Super Bowl. It's door 2 is so much better. Like the only thing he has left is one great playoff run. He honestly,
maybe you say they don't make the Super Bowl if he doesn't have a great playoff run. I don't even know if he has to have a great individual playoff run. He just needs to win the Super Bowl. John Elway's numbers in the Super Bowl aren't great, but he won.
No, but that also what helped Elway was he had been to 3 prior.
Yes.
And so that's a different. But I agree with you, Brew.
Peyton's second Super Bowl obviously wasn't
Peyton's
great.
first Super Bowl run. Nobody cares or remembers this but me. But the 06 Colts, he had 3 touchdowns, 7 picks, in the playoffs. And to Bruce's point, no one remembers it because it was
won 2
prime
Super
Peyton
Bowls.
Manning, and they won the Super Bowl. So people are like, oh, Peyton must
Even
have
the
finally.
second one,
he
we
must
just
have
say he
finally
won
been
2
awesome.
Super Bowls.
No, right. And the second one, he was an old
right.
guy.
The second one was
Right. But we say, hey,
we
he
just
won
say
2 Super
because
Bowls.
and so but that is the this is I agree. By the way, was this Jamison Hensley that reported this? Yes, correct. It is not a coincidence because there is whatever pressure we're saying is coming is there right now. However much it can be racked, the only way off the injury-riddled year, off the missing the playoffs, off firing the coach, the only way to make the pressure more in an offseason is to get a brand new giant contract. And that's what he, by the way, justifiably wants.
Yep.
I'm not begrudging him that. He is a great player great quarterbacks with 2 years left on their deal is when they get a new deal. So I don't even look at that as paying them early necessarily. Even if I were running the Ravens, I'd be a little squeamish about it. I don't begrudge him that one bit. But that train is coming down the tracks. So it will be maximum pressure. And it should be. I mean, that's the cost of greatness, and he is a great player. And I think he wanted this. I'm not saying he forced it, but I believe he wanted this.
I mean, look, we saw the Instagram post. Like I said, you don't have to be Inspector Gadget to figure it out.
Inspector Gadget.
Nice reference.
Inspector Gadget was necessarily.
Matlock. Go with Matlock.
I got the Inspector Gadget.
Columbo?
got that.
What about Columbo?
No, it just feels like Inspector Gadget.
Sherlock Holmes?
Mannix?
Sherlock
Remember
Holmes
Mannix?
is
Big
good.
cartoon.
I like Sherlock Holmes. Coming up next, playoff preview.
Scooby-Doo?
No, Scooby-Doo is not.
They were investigating.
Shaggy was good.
Velma.
Oh, no, he was a singer. Number 5, Oregon taking on the number 1 seeded Indiana Hoosiers. That's Friday at 7:30. There's Coach Curt Cignetti, who said, Google me, all I do is win. And we were all like, yeah, right, dude, you're playing for coaching the Hoosiers. Turns out, best team in the country.
He was
So the question is, should he consider making a jump to the NFL?
I think if I was running a team, I would check to see if he would consider making a jump to the NFL, because you can't deny the amazing success he's had everywhere he's been. So when you're able to turn programs around, and Indiana has got to be as surprising as any program, or regardless of sport, the fact that he's done what he's done in such a short amount of time, it's amazing. Now pro football is radically different than college football in terms of the salary cap, and I get it, we're introducing NIL, but that's not structured yet. There's still an element of Wild West to that. So there's ways that you can improve your team, I think, in college football that aren't the same in pro football. It's a very specific structure. Now, all that being said, seeing his success at so many different places, seeing his success at a place that hasn't been able to win.
Yeah.
If you can have a call, and he's not going to want to have a call that's public, but if you can have an offline discussion, it's definitely worth it.
So I don't know if it's you that told this story or I think it was you, but maybe not. Regardless, it was about Saban talking about I can get, in the NFL, I get 1 number 1 draft pick a year, and at Alabama, I get 20 number 1 draft picks a year, and that is I think one of the reasons some of the basketball or football, college to pro coaches have struggled.
Yep.
I find the Cignetti thing interesting for a similar reason that I found Brad Stevens interesting. Where I'm like, Brad Stevens at Butler, he didn't have the best team, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disrespect all the players at Indiana, but he doesn't have even the roster of the recruiting wise,
Alabama,
of the teams he's been beating the last 2 years. So that to me does make him more intriguing than the typical college coach would be, because it feels like he hasn't had this. Because you never have this huge structural roster edge in pro football. You can have a little bit, but everybody's really good. What I wanted to ask you was, I don't understand how this can happen, what Cignetti's done. I don't understand, because I don't think, I've understood when I've seen in college sports, particularly college football, it's like, oh, this guy is essentially invented a new offensive style and teams can't figure it out. I'm not thinking of the right example.
The air raid is
those different things. It's like, oh, teams just can't figure this out. They will eventually catch up. For Cignetti, is it just he's that much of a better motivator than everybody else? Like their offensive system, it's not like the fanciest plays. Right. It's not, and I understand the quarterback's gonna be the number one pick, but it's so how would you explain why he's had this transformative success?
Well, I wonder if because of the NIL, where the traditional powers now are getting diluted because there's a lot of other teams who have money, and so instead of it just being Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, who are the only teams with money, those teams are starting to get diluted to some degree, and Indiana making an investment and bring in Cignetti can not only their improvement, but also the fact that these other teams aren't as dominant as they historically were. All that being said, to win as many games as he had over the first 2 years at a place that hasn't won, right. Yeah, I can't point to one thing, and I don't have as good an insight into player acquisition in college football. I'm in the NIL world right now as I do in pro football. But however you cut it, it's unique, and it's worth figuring out, whether or not he'd want to bring that to pro football.
Yeah, and from his standpoint, nowadays there's more certainty in the NFL. I'm not talking about job security. I'm talking about with your roster.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be the case. It used to be the reverse to some degree because college, you had them on scholarship. Now, year to year, you don't know who's going to leave and all that stuff. So from that standpoint, would that be attractive to him? Maybe. I'm baffled too, Nick. I mean, what I said last week, what he's done is one of the most remarkable things in sports.
And when he went there, didn't he bring a bunch of his guys?
Yes, James Madison.
Yeah, but it was from James Madison.
Right. But I think that's a unique component of it too, the fact that you can bring that many players that know your system and infuse them into a new place that quickly, as well as with the transfer portal, the volume of guys that you can get now is again, not only are the powers diluted, but you can go grab guys. Maybe he's a great talent evaluator too, and the guys he's putting into the program are better than other people evaluate him than.
Quickly, Nick, the story of the day is a divorce between Harbaugh and Lamar and the fissure of that relationship. Raiders have a head coach opening and the #1 pick. They could theoretically have a package deal for Mendoza and Cignetti. Do you think that is something
honestly, that's I would think the only job that would make sense for him is the job where you know you're going to have a quarterback that you love, that you know you can win with. None of these
did not work with Pete Carroll and Gino.
Why don't you think Baltimore?
I don't think. No. So to be clear, I don't think Baltimore is going. That would be such a risky move for Baltimore. Like not only a first-time NFL head coach, a guy, straight from college that 2 years ago was on literally no. I just don't think the Ravens.
I agree. They should.
So yes, if I'm Cignetti and the Ravens are interested in me, I'm interested. But I don't think that is realistic. And I do think the Raiders are interesting in that regard, though.
And there is a significant difference between the types of players you have in college and pro football. In pro football, guys they're not graduating. They've got families. You've got this range of ages. Right. Where in college football, you're dealing with all young guys. So there is an adjustment sometimes for college coaches dealing with so many true adults, and that can be
That's kind of what I was getting at a little bit. I realized as I was asking the question was, what I was trying to get at is the juice you can squeeze out of the motivational well, does that run drier in pro football than college football? You know what I mean? Like, is it easier to get a B- player to play like an A- in college football motivationally than in pro football? Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.